x minus 1.
Oh, I love that. 10x minus 1. Okay, so the whole goal, when you have something with a square in it, right, and that would be squared if I fold it back together again, right? The whole goal is to get it factored. What is it? It's already factored. They gave it to us factored. Now, we could really make a mess of this if we really wanted to. But why would we just go 10x equals 0 and 10x minus 1 equals 0? That's the way I would approach this problem because I'm lazy. I can do sine over cosine. I can FOIL that back in. It would get really ugly. What am I solving for? What values?
Solve for each all values.
All values. So I got a lot of work still to do. So look at this. Tan of 0 is 0. But it must be true somewhere else. Where else is tangent?
360.
No. 180.
Oh.
It's also 360, but 180 is important because I got that in between. So I'm going to go 0 degrees, 180 degrees. All right, now I'm going to look at the other one and solve it. Tangent tangent of x equals 1. Agreed? What does tangent give me? 1? 45 degrees. Where else between 0 and 360? It's got to be in the third quadrant because it's also positive. Same reference angle. 45 degrees, right? So it's got to be 225 degrees, right? 45 degrees. So I have 45 degrees, and I got 225 degrees. By the way, is that all?
Yes.
No, it's not, because I can add 360 to this. And
where n equals...
So I'm going to go plus 360 degrees n, and plus 360 degrees n, and plus 360 degrees n, and plus 360 degrees n, where n is equal to ... negative 1, 0, 1, 2, ... Oh, yeah. And I'm done. Yes, ma'am.
Can you, for the 0, do 0 degrees plus 180 n and 1?
Yes, you could. You could absolutely do that. In fact, with tangent, you can always get away with that. You could do 0 plus 180n and 435 plus 180n and do it and bring it down to 2. That said, I would expect none of my students to do that. But if you did that, it's totally correct. Totally correct. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yes, ma'am? Oh, man. Did you have your hand up? You didn't have your hand up? Somebody's... She's shy. Oh, good. All right. So what it is?
It's cosine parentheses x plus y if tan x equals 5/3.
5/3.
And sin y equals 1/3.
And y equals 1/3?
Yeah.
Okay, just be aware that's sine. You said sin.
Oh, sine.
That's what it says, but we should say sine so that we don't get, all the math kids don't beat us up in the parking lot. We said it wrong. It happens. Don't laugh over there. All right, so cosine x plus y. So I look up here, find cosine x plus y, and it says up there cosine x, cosine y, minus sine x, sine y. Now, am I speaking out of terms? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. Unfortunately, what is the cosine of x? They didn't tell us. So we give up, cry a bunch, and then we remember, wait a second, I'm supposed to draw what?
Triangle.
Triangle. Which quadrant am I drawing a triangle in?
First.
It says in the first quadrant? Okay, I'll believe you. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to pretend like you're right. Okay, tangent is 5/3. What does that tell me?
It's adjacent over hypotenuse.
No.
Adjacent over, no, opposite over.
Opposite over adjacent, love it. 5/3. So to get the third side, I need to use a little Pythagoras. So I go 3 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared, which is 9 plus 25 equals c squared, or c equals the square root of 34 plus or minus. Do I use positive or negative in this case?
Positive.
Positive. Hypotenuse is always positive, so life is good. Because we agree we didn't want to have two different sets of rules just so we can do that. That's the point. All right, so I can at least answer cosine of x. Cosine of x is, in fact, 3 over root 34. That's going to be a problem later, but we'll deal with it later. How about cosine of y? Do I have that at least?
Cosine of y. Yeah, now you do.
I do not.
Oh.
That was x. I got to do y now. Hold another triangle. Is that also in the first quadrant?
How do
Yes.
you know? If it's
It has to say so in the instructions. Otherwise, you're guessing.
It says
So it should
x
say-
is greater than. No, 0 is greater than x. X is greater than.
no, it's 0 to 5.
0 to pi over 2, right? So it says 0 is less than x, which is less than pi over 2. Okay, so that's the way I would go. So I'll write triangle. So sine is 1 over the hypotenuse 3. Solve. So I'm going to go 1 squared plus b squared equals c squared. Oh, equals 3 squared, sorry. 1 plus b squared equals 9. B squared equals 8. B equals plus or minus the square root of 8. Since I'm in the first quadrant, that can be positive or negative.
Positive.
Positive. Again, I should check that, but I am in the first quadrant, so I'm good to go. So cosine of y would be root 8 over 3, agreed?
Yeah.
Minus sine of x, and I go back to the x one, and I get what?
5 over.
5 over root 34. Love it. Well, y? Sine y.
That'd be 1 over 3.
Yeah, that's the one they gave us, by the way. So we could have done that just by looking at it.
And then we just times them across.
We timed them across, so I got 3 root 8 over 3 root 34 minus 5 over 3 root 34. Now, some of you are thinking I should cross these out. Remember, the denominators are going to be the same anyways, so if you just cross them out, you're just giving yourself more work trying to find a common denominator. All right, so I got a subtraction here, same common denominator. I got 3 root 8 minus 5 over 3 root 34. How am I going to deal with that? Am I done?
No,
What do I have to do?
the conjugate.
Nope. There's no.
Oh,
I could, but then I have to find a common denominator. Guess what I'm going to have to do?
But now that you have it.
Oh, yeah, but I have to pull out of that too. Can you pull a 3 out of 5?
Square root.
So I have to multiply by the square root of 34, wouldn't I?
So in doing so, you never carry the 3 with it, correct?
I wouldn't bother. You could put the 3 in there. You just got to divide it back out again.
Yeah, I'm like,
I just want to fix that. That's enough problems for me. So I got 3 root, oh my goodness, 8 times 34. I'm going to have to simplify it anyway, so let's leave it as 8 times 34. Minus 5 root 34. That's not doing anything today. Divided by 3 times 34. All right. How do I simplify 8 times root 34?
you times it. Oh no, wait. 8.
I could times it, but if there's any factors, I got to get those out if there's a pair.
Oh, like 4 and 2.
4 and 2. So if I were to go this, I go 3, 2 times 4 times 2 times 17, right?
Yeah.
Minus 5 root 34 all over 102. Agreed?
Agreed.
And then I look at this and go, well, that's 3 root 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 17 minus 5 root 34 all over 102. Any pairs?
Yeah, there's 2.
Pair of 2s, another pair of 2s. So this is 3 times 2 times 2 times root 17 minus 5 root 34 all over 102. And that's 12 root 17. Crush your souls, man. Crush your souls. 102. That's one of the easy problems on the test. Yay!
What? That's a joke.
How would that be a joke? This is just an x plus y problem. You guys all know how to do that one. This isn't a verification. Think you can do better the day after break, which is when you'd have to do the makeup quiz? What? That'd be fun to watch you sweat on that, though.
I feel like this is hidden camera, so Mr. Rossi has to play the.
It's recording.
Board is not hidden.
The board's recording.
Just, like listen to the sound of our unhappy.
Over 12.
7 pi over 12. Did you say I have to do it a certain way? I can do it any way I want to.
So just half.
Oh, man. So that'd be cosine of 7 pi over 6 over 2. Great. So I use my half angle identity, which is plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine of 7 pi over 6 all over 2. Great. All right. Again, the only thing I can do with a half angle is I have to look at the chart and come up with my identity. Is it going to be positive or negative?
Positive. Negative.
Well, that's yes, but why? Cosine 7 pi over 12 would be more than a half pi, right?
Yeah.
But less than a pi. As such, it must be in the second quadrant. What is cosine in the second quadrant?
Negative.
Negative, so it has to be negative.
So you look for that, you look at the 7 pi over 12, not 7 pi over 6.
Right, for the final answer. Now, for the 7 pi over 6, this is going to change this sign here. It will affect that. But the actual answer I know has to be based on that. And I can guess by quadrant what it has to be.
Hey, could you leave it in 7 pi over 12? Like instead of dividing by 2?
Do you know what the cosine of 7 pi over 12 is? Because if you do, that's what we're trying to solve for. So if you know at the top of your head, there's no reason to do a half finger or anything. Just write it down. If I'm silly enough to say what's the cosine of 30 degrees, don't ask the question, just write down the answer. If I say 15 degrees, though, if you can't find it up there, you better come with something. By the way, I'm not going to tell you which way to do it. You got cosine 15 degrees. You can have 2 ways you know how to do it. You can do 45 minus 30. You can do 30 over 2.
Is there like a reason why one is better than another? Or are they just
I hate the half angles. They're ugly, and they do double twisting and double things, and bad things happen. That said, the only one I can make you do is the half angle.
And that's only for 10.
Because I could do 22.5, and there's no way you can do that by adding, right? Okay. Yes, sir.
If there's, by any chance, you remember the radian measure for, say, 15 degrees, would you still have to show you how you found that? Or,
Radian measure is fine. The question is, can you do the cosine of that?
oh,
That's the one I'm asking.
that's the hard part.
And you'd have to memorize quite a few of these. There's actually a way to do it, but I'm not going to tell you how.
Yeah.
Period. Ever. Okay, it's Trivial Pursuit at that point. All right, cosine of 7 pi over 6 is in the second quadrant. It's 30 degrees, so what would my cosine be? Root 3 over 2? Is it negative or positive? We're in the third quadrant.
Positive.
Negative.
Negative.
All stigmatic, ticklish cats.
Yeah. Negative.
Okay,
Sorry.
so it's got to be negative. All right, so negative square root. I'm going to do a common denominator. You do multiply the bottoms across the tops, or you do the longer, more painful. All right, so multiply the top bottoms across the tops. Great. Got a fraction or a fraction. How do I deal with that? I flip and multiply. I just said that on the recording. Now what? Can't have a square root in the bottom, but good news. What's the square root of 4? 2. So we're going to do this. And somewhere a mathematician screaming, you're not done, you're not done, you're not done. But we're going to say the square root instead of square root is good enough for us.
Okay, so I was checking that because that's the answer I got.
Uh-huh.
And I got it was not like I got a different answer.
What?
Like I yeah, he said I got the same answer, like a different answer. Like what you